noite, senhoras e senhores.
Welcome to the Cryptocurrency Mission, brought to you with NetLeaders.
Bem-vindos à Crypto Mission, promovida pela NetLeaders.
We'll be starting in 5 minutes' time. Please sit down, enjoy, and put your headsets on.
Vamos começar em 5 minutos. Por favor, tomem seus assentos e coloquem seus fones de ouvido para a tradução simultânea.
Starting in 5 minutes' time. Thank you very much.
Daqui a 5 minutos. Muito obrigado.
Wow. Boa noite. Bienvenidos. No. Bienvenidos. At Crypto Mission. My name is Dave Crane. My job is to host this evening. My job is to make sure that everybody has the best possible experience. Now, can I just quickly check how many people here speak English? If you do, stick your hands up. Perfect. How many people here have no idea what I am talking about? I can tell by the lack of hands going up. What frightens me is when people understand what I said, but then put their hands up anyway, because they have no idea why I said it. We are translating today into many different languages. We have got people, and I thank you for traveling across the world to experience what we will be sharing with you today. Today, we are sharing ideas, information, and knowledge for all the people who have been watching the news and getting very, very excited about the idea of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and the opportunities that are there for you. If that's you, then let me hear you cheer now. I'm also waiting for a 5-second translation delay from everybody else that goes, yeah, oh, we've missed it. Not to worry. Now, we have got friends from right across Brazil, definitely right across from Rio, and right across the world. I have to say, that of all the places I've been in the world, Rio is one of my favorite, hands down. If you're from Rio, give yourselves a massive round of applause. Been amazing. But typically, what I have to do is I have to welcome a number of key places. Otherwise, some people go, no, I'm not happy. So what I want you to do is when I mention certain parts of where you may be from, give me a cheer. Let me illustrate. Give me a cheer if you're from Copacabana. 4 people. Give me a cheer if you're from Ipanema. 1 person. I guess everybody else is translating as we speak. How about Leblon? You ever felt that something was a really bad idea as soon as you start making it? All right, give me a cheer if you're from Rio de Janeiro! Fantastic. We have guests, we have friends from all over the world here. Give me a cheer if you're from Spain. Still being translated. If you're from Slovakia, 1 person but very loud. Thailand. If you've been to Thailand on holiday. We also have Vietnam. Very good indeed. Poland. All right, calm down. Czechoslovakia. That's just the Polish people moving seats. USA. Small group, very loud. United Kingdom. Australia. A single woo. Here's the deal. Tonight, for one night only, every single person in this room, we are all related. We are all one family, and we are all from Rio de Janeiro! Fantastic. Right then, welcome to this very special venue, the Sol America Convention Center, for the Crypto Mission Seminar, brought to you by NetLeaders. We are streamed live across the world on Facebook, where we know that tens of thousands of people are watching. This is very exciting. It also means that because the world is watching, if you are sitting next to somebody you shouldn't be sitting next to, you are being found right now. I'll wait for the translators to catch up with that one. A couple of things I'd like to share. First of all, if you have mobile phones with you, please make sure they are on silent. Anybody whose mobile phone goes off during the evening, we will sell your phone on the blockchain. Waiting for translators to put that together. Also, as I must point out, the fire exits. We've got fire exits here, here, at the back, and on this side there. If you are worried about fire exits, I'll wait for the translators to change that. If there is any reason to use the fire exits, look for me and I'll be running going, ah! Translate that. Just listening in the headphones for, ah. Tonight, we'll be sharing knowledge. It's all about discovery. For all the many people who've been watching the news and seeing the increase in value of Bitcoin, how many people are interested to hear where it came from, and where it's going? Put your hands up if that's what's brought you here. That translated very well. We have experts who travel the world sharing their knowledge and revealing the truths and the history and all the things that you need to know about cryptocurrency and blockchain. Just waiting for translators. I'm just going to come back in a minute. The world is fascinated by where this is going, and financial institutions and governments and the people are all watching to see what happens next. Tonight, I told you about the phone. Tonight, we will show you what happens next. Our first speaker is a director. He's a director of Das Payments Limited. He's got 25 plus years on Wall Street and the Asian Central Bank. He's going to share with you the introduction and welcome you to the future of cryptocurrency. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Blair Baker.
Good evening. Good evening, Rio. Good evening, Brazil. It is a pleasure to be here talking with you tonight. Crypto Mission is an organization which serves many purposes. We are here to provide education about blockchain and cryptocurrencies and other things. We want to spotlight a lot of the innovation that is taking place in this sector. The innovation is quite rapid, and it's a lot to absorb. We also want to share our enthusiasm. A lot of the people here assembled today are infectiously enthusiastic, are very enthusiastic about blockchain and cryptocurrency. We saw a lot of hands raised when we asked you about Bitcoin just a few moments ago. And perhaps most importantly, we want to collectively position ourselves to benefit from this innovation taking place in blockchain and cryptocurrency. One of the reasons why we chose Brazil and Rio as our first gateway into South America and Latin America is because there are some parallels between cryptocurrency and some of the monetary systems in South America. I'm sure our Brazilian guests are very familiar with this fact, but for our non-Brazilian guests, it is interesting to learn that the Brazilian real, that money that a lot of us have in our pockets right now, is less than 25 years old. Sounds like some of the cryptocurrencies that a lot of us are intrigued about, these nouveau instruments, financial money, digital money. Let's take a look at Brazil. Brazil is the little blue section at the bottom of this graph. Brazil enjoys the 9th largest economy as measured by GDP in the world. We can see that Brazil is a major player in the global economic landscape. But that is actually going to change over the next 15 years. It is projected that Brazil will become the 6th largest economy in the world. Brazil is a major producer of crops, such as soybeans and other things. And this will continue to propel Brazil forward as the world population gets larger. Interestingly, about 1 out of 20 people in this world actually live in South America. So South America is ranked number 5 in terms of population in the world. But when we look at economic output and GDP creation, we can see that South America is number 4 in the world on the left. And on the right, very interesting, even though Asia has many more people than South America, on a per capita basis, a per person basis, South America is more than 50% more competitive than Asia. And that evidences the workforce and a lot of the competitive advantages that South America actually enjoys over a very robust economy like Asia's economy. Over the past couple of years, Latin America has experienced its worst recession in the past 30 years. This chart here actually shows the capital inflows coming into Latin America turning negative. There was a lot of uncertainty as to what would be happening with the U.S. presidential election, and South America suffered as a consequence, unfortunately. This slide here shows what was projected in terms of economic growth and inflation in South America, in Latin America, in 2016 and 2017. We can easily see that inflation was expected to exceed economic growth by more than 4 times. Again, that's a very unfortunate situation. Moving on to 2018, the current year, and 2019, economic growth is expected to rebound in Latin America and South America. These countries, South America, Latin America, have a very rich, vibrant economic and monetary history. However, it's not always for the good. This graph here, this chart here, actually shows us the number of sovereign defaults, meaning when countries are unable to pay their bills over the past few decades. We can see a lot of countries' names up there, including Brazil's. Back in the 1980s, when this phenomenon happened, we had something called Brady bonds created. That's where debts were restructured with the assistance of supranational organizations and the U.S. government. So the U.S. government, in a sense, came to the rescue. But a lot of these financial restructurings involved the U.S. dollar. So a lot of these countries had a lot of exposure to the U.S. dollar. This cartoon here actually shows is intended to be a little bit humorous, but actually shows the relationship, the linkage between the U.S. government, the U.S. dollar, and a lot of these countries. Another reason why countries in Latin America and South America are forced to borrow in dollars is because there's a relatively low savings rate. As a result of the low savings rate, countries are forced to go to the international capital markets and borrow in U.S. dollars from international investors. So the savings rate in Latin America and South America is relatively low compared to the rest of the world. We call this in economics the dollar trap. That's where countries are forced to borrow in U.S. dollars, and certainly Brazil is no exception to this scenario. Even though the U.S. dollar has depreciated, meaning it's been reduced in value over the past year or so since President Trump took office in the United States, we can see that the U.S. dollar has been on a tear for 5.5 or 6 years. So these countries that are receiving income in local currency, such as Brazilian real, and then need to service debts in the international sector by making interest payments and bond payments in U.S. dollars, they're at a significant disadvantage as a result of this appreciation, this strength that we have seen in the U.S. dollar. Again, that's called the U.S. dollar trap. We can look back to Mexico in 1994. They had the Mexican peso crisis. The peso was around 3 or 3.5 to the U.S. dollar, and then it fell sharply in a very short period of time. And in fact, the Mexican peso crisis lasted for close to a decade. If you were to check it out right now, you would actually learn that the U.S. dollar buys more than 19 Mexican pesos. 2001, 2002, right down the road, Argentina had a major debt default. I was working on Wall Street at the time, and I wanted to experience it firsthand. So I flew from New York down to Buenos Aires, and I was actually there the day that the Argentine government decided to freeze bank accounts. Terrible things happened. Pensions were confiscated. Bank accounts were frozen. The public sector basically confiscated the wealth and savings of the private sector. Again, these things happen in economies where there's not a long tradition of stable economic and monetary systems. Brazil has not been immune from these problems. Brazil has in fact experienced its worst recession in history, and it was right around this time last year that Brazil actually exited this recession. This recession lasted 3 or 4 years, and I think a lot of our guests here tonight could probably talk very knowledgeably about the economic dislocation, the social dislocation that the country experienced. A few years ago, some of the larger economies in the world got together to set up a new alliance. This alliance is called BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. They are aligned because they want to promote trade amongst themselves. They want to depend on the U.S. dollar even less. They want to support each other with infrastructure investment. So 41% of the world's population lives in these BRICS countries. And these BRICS countries, as we can read, actually represent about 22% of global economic output. Again, these BRICS countries are wanting to escape the fetters and the bondage of the U.S. dollar. When we look north from here, we think about Venezuela. I think a lot of us in this room see the images on television and in the media about what's happening in Caracas and elsewhere. These are very troubling pictures. People who do not have money for food and basic supplies that most of us in this room probably take for granted. So as far as cryptocurrencies go, we have seen President Maduro talk about launching his own cryptocurrency in that country called the Petro. And that idea is where the country's national assets of oil would actually be tokenized on a blockchain. And they hope to raise close to $6 billion US to do this. Drastic times call for drastic measures. As far as cryptocurrency and blockchain activity here in Latin America, it's actually quite vibrant. We can see a lot of things going on. I think some of the people in this room would probably recognize some of these companies, these fintech companies that are participating in the blockchain space and the cryptocurrency space. We have Brazil's central bank actually prototyping some solutions involving blockchain. We have Banco Itaú and Banco Bradesco, two of the 4 largest banks, financial institutions here in Brazil, actually joining blockchain consortium. We have major stock exchanges on the continent working with IBM to partner up to identify solutions for financial technologies. Smart contracts, which I will be talking about tomorrow, are actually being worked on here on the continent. Uruguay to the south is experimenting with its own version of a digital currency. And believe it or not, there are Bitcoin ATMs across South America and Latin America as well. Another reason I think why people are drawn to cryptocurrency in South America is because traditional asset classes, such as the equities market, the share market, are overvalued perhaps. They're at very high levels, all-time highs in fact. We can see this here with the Bovespa in Brazil. We can see the same thing in Chile. We can see the same thing in Mexico. So there's a lot of money in the stock markets, the share markets right now. And people are perhaps looking towards cryptocurrency and the blockchain asset class as a way to diversify their portfolios. That's perhaps leading to some of the appreciation that we've seen in some of these assets like Bitcoin and Ripple and Ethereum lately. This heat map actually shows activity and participation in cryptocurrencies across the world. And as we can see here, South America is very much open for cryptocurrency and blockchain. So we hope through this session, by the end of tonight's session and tomorrow's session, that you will be enthusiastic like we are about blockchain and cryptocurrency, and hopefully you will have learned something as well. Muito obrigado a todos. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Blair. Are you enjoying it? Fascinating. Give him a round of applause. Blair Baker, brilliant. Our next keynote speaker is a gentleman who's a digital and marketing director for NetLeaders. He brings to us 20 plus years leading in digital innovation and its use in business. Sharing with us insights into the rise of cryptocurrency, please put your hands together for our next speaker, Pascal van Knuijf.
Boa noite, Rio. Mon nom est Pascal. Hi there, Rio. My name is Pascal van Knuijf. Thank you, guys. Who of you brought their mobile phones with them? Please put them up. Yes? More people? Yeah. Who of you have Twitter on there? Or Facebook? Or Snapchat? Or Instagram? So there's a short minute now to make a picture of me with the hashtag Crypto Mission, right? I want you to do that. I'm going to do it myself as well. Because we are here at a Crypto Mission event. Guys, as I said, my name is Pascal van Knijf. I have been on the digital front lines for about 20 years of my life, starting with the introduction of this beautiful device. Who remembers this? Yeah, the first Apple. We introduced this in the Netherlands more than 20 years ago. Now it's all flat, but then it was a beautiful round piece. Then I built the first cloud data center in the Netherlands. As I was working in healthcare, what I wanted to do is give people the ability to work without time constraints and also work anywhere that they wanted. Back then it was called terminal-based computing, but now everybody uses the cloud. Another thing what I've done is to work with Frogtape. We introduced this brand. They were actually very prolific in thinking that social media was going to change the world. And I tell you, for this brand in America, it did. Because they were taken all of a sudden through social media into all of the big stores. I worked also a short time for a smartwatch wrist phone company and had a lot of other experience in the healthcare industry, also with CRM providers. But anything is not, this is not as much exciting actually as what I'm doing now. Like I've been introduced, I'm the digital marketing director of a very, very exciting fintech company, Dascoin and NetLeaders. And I'm very happy to talk to you a little bit today about what I do and what we are going to do and about the rise of altcoins. As we know, we're living in a very disruptive world. Everything around us today is changing. Innovations are paving the way for everything that we do. We're looking at drones now, delivering what we ordered on Amazon. We're also looking at our domotica, which are little devices that actually tell us or actually help us when we come home and turn down the heat or turn up the heat, whatever we want to do. And there's another thing that's going on, whereas we see that we can now pay with cryptocurrency. I believe that cryptocurrency is definitely the next big innovation in the world. And the reason why that is going to be is because it's powered by what I call, let me see if it works, the blockchain. Some of you might have heard it, but it's oftentimes referred as the fourth industrial revolution. So now, a lot of people and my friends, and actually I try to even explain it to my children of 13 and 14, they ask me, Daddy, what is blockchain? So when I talk about blockchain, I say, guys, it's nothing more, than a huge Excel sheet. Who uses Excel? Who knows what a spreadsheet is? And so think of this huge spreadsheet where basically you put in everything in blocks. That's why it's called a blockchain. Right? But you cannot change, edit, or delete any of the entries that you have done before. And so those blocks in this blockchain consist basically of a header, right? And in this header, it has a very important timestamp. And then also there's content in there. This content can be an instruction. It could be an address. That is what I say of blockchain. Now, how does blockchain work? I want to take you into how does it actually work. So let's say Lydia has bought me a cup of coffee. And she has asked me to pay for it. So what I do, take out my phone, and then I have my public key, and then Lydia shows me her private, or is given her private key. As you can see, so that's the green, that's Lydia. The moment I want to go for a transaction, it will be announced in the whole network saying, hey guys, this is Pascal. He wants to send some cryptocurrency to Lydia. Is it available? The network goes and finds and says, yes, come on, Pascal does have enough Bitcoin in this case in his account. and puts it in the block. That's why it's called the blockchain. The next thing that is happening is that through a whole bunch of cryptocurrencies and a lot of people, it gets confirmed in the network. Sorry, guys. And then it gets announced in the network saying, yes, this is true, this transaction has been made, and it's been put in front of the blockchain. At that time, Lydia is going to be happy. At that time, we have done a transaction on the blockchain. Now, what is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is basically is digital currency that has security and privacy at the utmost highest point in what it's doing. It also, and this is a very important thing for us all to understand, it works independently. It is not coined by any central organization, not by any institution, or banks or governments, which in turn makes, and this is one of the very important things about cryptocurrencies, the value is actually determined by people that are buying and selling, not by a government, not by a central bank, but by the people who are buying and selling. And with that comes also a very important point. The whole network knows it. It's decentralized. It makes certain that there's safety, integrity, and there's a balance within this whole space. So now for me to take a cup of drink, how many of you actually put out a tweet with Crypto Mission already? Can you raise your hand? Or put it on Facebook? Oh, that's 4 out of 10. Can I get some more? Maybe 20. So I give you a little bit of time to tweet and say, I am having a blast, or hopefully I am learning a lot at Crypto Mission. Hashtag Crypto Mission. Now I think we all have heard about Bitcoin. Who has heard, who did, I think I can better ask who did not hear about Bitcoin. Everybody here has heard about Bitcoin. It's probably the most well-known cryptocurrency in the world. This afternoon, when I was looking and preparing my presentation, Bitcoin was valued at $14,025. And Bitcoin actually paved the way for a whole bunch of different altcoins. I think there's over 1,000 right now altcoins that are on the market. If you look at what has happened over time, you see that April, this is not even 1 year ago, was only the whole market of all the altcoins was only $25 billion. And this morning when I looked, it was over $680 billion. That means that this market has grown more than 25 times in these past months. And it's over 25 times. So it's just an amazing thing that's going on. 25 times, I have not seen that before. There's a couple of cryptocurrencies I want you to show. The first is Ethereum. I refer to Ethereum as a programmable contract in money. With Ethereum, it's very well known for creating smart contracts. Just like Blair told us earlier, a smart contract basically executing things that I put in there without any ability to change this or whatever. And because of its decentralized nature, it also will have absolutely no downtime. You look at the market cap, it's the number 2. There's over $117 billion, almost $120 billion in dollars. And like I said, it was $12.15 this morning when I checked. And probably if you check now on CoinMarketCap, it might be higher or lower. We don't know. Another one that has been very recently in the news is called Ripple. Who's heard of Ripple? Almost everybody heard of Ripple? Well, Ripple, in turn, rippled a lot of information. Because then it was almost at 320. Then it went down back to 177. And when I saw this morning, it was indeed 177. And you see at the price what is going on. And I also want you in the bottom to see how many transactions over this past months have been done. And this is only on Ripple. And you will see this trend to every other stat that I will be giving you. Because one of the next one is Litecoin. I call it a faster Bitcoin. It has the same properties, only is it is definitely a lot faster. It's number 6 currently on the coin market cap, with a market cap of $13 billion, and it's been traded at $240. But again, guys, look at how the price has gone up and how many trades have been there in the last couple of months. I believe that you're here in the right time, in the right place, to learn about what altcoins can do, to learn about what it is that we have to say. Look at what's going on in the world. Another crypto altcoin that is on the rise is called the IOTA. I call it the Internet of Things payments. The Internet of Things payments, the IOTA, is number 9 and has a market cap of $10 billion and is currently traded at $357. And please, like I said, those numbers change very, very swiftly. And I don't know if you heard of Storch. Probably not. I think it's about number 111 on the coin market cap. But this is, again, a revolutionary way of cryptocurrency. What they do is transparent and decentralized storage. So what does the future hold for us? With all the cryptocurrencies, right? We see a lot of governments not knowing what is going on, not knowing what to do, kind of banning it. This morning I read about Korea wanting to ban some of this stuff. But what does it hold? What does this future hold for a disruptive, like I shared earlier, for a disruptive innovation that will definitely go ahead? If you look at Brazil, some of the things that are going on here, I learned that in December of this show, that's not even it's a month ago tomorrow, that the Dash currency, the Dash coin, is already usable at 13,000 locations in Brazil. Besides, the Brazil Central Bank is ramping up blockchain R&D. And also looking at settlement prototypes, and what I really like is the planning and testing of identity theft. And I also heard, like last weekend, I read that the Brazil government is actually looking at a voting system based on the Ethereum blockchain, like I said. But also I think there's a lot of challenges. I think the main challenge that we see and that we face is the fact that governments and institutions cannot get their hold about it. It's too disruptive for them. They don't know what it is that they can do. Another thing that is very important, and you will see that coming on, if you have such a disruptive technology in your hand, all of a sudden, like I said earlier, you don't need any banks. You don't need any institutions. So what can happen is that we can facilitate a sharing economy all across the world. We can facilitate people only using their mobile phones. That was why I was asking you who brought their mobile phone, because everybody has a mobile phone. Not everybody has a computer, but even in Africa and in Asia and here in South America, a lot of people have a mobile phone, and smart contracts and cryptocurrency will be pivotal in this whole sharing economy. And not only will they be pivotal, it's also going to be very transparent, it's going to be fast, and it's going to be secure. I believe that a cryptocurrency or an altcoin basically is giving power back to the people. It's by the people, for the people, and of the people. There's no government or institution that can determine what it is. And what is your future? What does your future look like? Well, that's going to be, of course, a big question mark, because a lot of people tell me, say, Pascal, I believe that altcoins and cryptocurrency are actually one big bubble. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to demonstrate something to you guys. So, like I said, cryptocurrency is one big bubble. What does it mean? Shouldn't hold me, should it? I don't believe it's a bubble. I believe it will present endless opportunities for everybody that's here. And I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Pascal. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, the balloon. If anybody wants that balloon, it will be available, like that gentleman's phone, on the blockchain later. Our next speaker is a top leader with Net Leaders. He brings to the stage over 10 years working with creating wealth for people across the globe. He's going to share with us how you can join the cryptocurrency revolution. Ladies and gents, put your hands together as we invite on stage now Paulo Martins.
Boa noite, Brasil. Boa noite, Rio. O meu nome é Paulo Martins. É um enorme prazer, uma enorme honra estar aqui no Brasil, estar aqui no nosso país, que é o país irmão, e poder falar a minha língua, a nossa língua. Eu já tenho estado em mais de em 4 continentes, em dezenas, talvez muitas dezenas de países, e as minhas apresentações foram sempre em inglês. Mas eu hoje faço questão de apresentar em português. Thank you. Deixem-me falar agora um pouco em inglês para fazer esta tradução, porque as pessoas não estavam à espera disto. Well, what I said is I have many presentations in different continents and many countries, and today I had the opportunity to present in my own language, in our own language, while presenting Portuguese. But the presentation is English, so you can read, and I'll speak in Portuguese. What do you think? Do you agree? Okay, this opportunity, I don't have sorry, something's wrong. Um momento, falta-me só aqui o controle. Thank you. Ok, o que eu vou falar agora mudou a vida a muitas pessoas. Mudou a vida a muitas pessoas, inclusive a mim. Nós estamos a falar de uma nova oportunidade de negócio que apareceu há relativamente pouco tempo. Estamos a falar das criptomoedas. E é muito importante que nós possamos saber como comprar as criptomoedas, onde comprar as criptomoedas, o que é que nós devemos procurar para poder fazer essa compra. Uma grande mais-valia, vantagem que nós temos é que nós somos pioneiros. Menos de 1% da população mundial ainda conhece este mercado. Menos de 1% da população mundial já ouviu falar de bitcoins, mas ainda não está a trabalhar com este mercado das criptomoedas. E a minha apresentação consiste é simplesmente poder dar uns passos, apresentar soluções e formas onde vocês podem começar a trabalhar e comprar estas criptomoedas da melhor forma possível. Porque aqui nesta sala já há muitas pessoas, já existem vários milionários. Vários milionários que estão a trabalhar com este mercado. E agora quero-vos explicar como. Como lucrar com a criptomoeda? Onde procurar? Procurar informação de qualidade, ok? Nós temos 10 sites, eu sugiro 10 sites, isto apenas é uma apresentação minha, feita com um parceiro meu, porque eu sei que existem muitos sites onde nós podemos procurar informação, mas estes para mim são os mais importantes. CoinMarketCap. Neste site nós podemos ver todas as moedas e as mais importantes, o preço onde elas variam. Temos também CoinDesk, que é outro site onde nós também podemos verificar outras moedas. Blockchain. Blockchain é muito importante. É muito importante porque aqui nós conseguimos ver todas as transações efetuadas no envio e recebimento de tudo o que é criptomoeda, nomeadamente Bitcoin. Changelly é outro site onde nós também podemos visualizar as transações de criptomoedas. Bittrex, não só nós podemos guardar, como também podemos comprar e vender criptomoedas. Temos Genesis Mining. Genesis Mining também é um site, é uma plataforma onde nós podemos também minerar e comprar bitcoins. Coindance, Bitcoin Argentina, porque, como disse o Blair muito bem, no mercado agora sul-americano está a passar alguma dificuldade e é importante que nós possamos investir e sabemos onde comprar. Plus 500, outro site também nós podemos fazer a mesma compra. Criptotendência. Este site é muito importante porque tudo o que se passa no mercado da criptomoeda nós podemos verificar aqui na criptotendência. Está tudo, a informação consta toda lá. Portanto, é aqui onde eu sugiro, onde todos vocês, todos nós possamos procurar informação e informação válida. Agora, também é muito importante, se nós queremos comprar ou queremos vender criptomoedas, é importante saber aonde. Comprar locais onde podemos comprar e vender moedas de qualidade. Locais de qualidade. As melhores plataformas no mercado. No meu ver, Bittrex. Não só podemos visualizar, como também podemos guardar as moedas e, neste caso, comprar as moedas nesta plataforma. Polinex, a mesma situação. Nós aqui nesta plataforma, é uma plataforma que nos dá uma garantia e uma segurança muito boa para que nós possamos comprar as moedas. ITBTC, a mesma situação. Cryptotonia, CoinPayments, Onirex, EtherDelta, Binance, é também um outro site, ou seja, nós temos 10 sites, 10 plataformas onde nós podemos comprar as criptomoedas. Está em inglês, esta apresentação está toda em inglês, mas não se preocupem, no final, se vocês quiserem, podem pedir ou envio tudo em português, ok? Eu tenho a apresentação em português e vocês todos podem receber, ok? Mais uma vez volto a dizer, nós estamos no início. Esta é a primeira e grande apresentação que estamos a fazer no mercado sul-americano, no mercado latino. E o Brasil foi o país, o Rio de Janeiro foi a cidade escolhida para fazer. Portanto, uma grande salva de palmas para vocês. O que é que nós devemos fazer antes de comprar as criptomoedas? São 5 passos muito importantes que nós temos de fazer. 5 passos muito importantes que temos de fazer antes de poder comprar as criptomoedas. Em primeiro lugar, educação. Temos que nos educar. Temos que saber o que é que estamos a fazer. Nunca podemos fazer nada sem saber o que é que estamos a comprar. Não vamos poder comprar sem saber informação sobre isso. Esta é uma das regras essenciais para que nós possamos ter sucesso nos negócios. E, no fundo, nós estamos a falar aqui do negócio, estamos a falar de uma oportunidade em que todos nós podemos lucrar. Volto a referir, menos de 1% da população mundial tem conhecimento deste mercado. Eu estou a trabalhar neste mercado já há vários anos, estou a trabalhar com esta companhia em particular há pouco mais de um ano e o sucesso que temos tido tem sido incrível. Tem sido incrível. Já temos estado em bastantes continentes, como falei, vários continentes, em dezenas de países e cada vez que nós fazemos uma apresentação, cada vez que nós fazemos uma divulgação deste género, como fizemos aqui, como estamos a fazer aqui, esse país, as pessoas que estão na sala e que se dedicam a trabalhar connosco, a trabalhar desta forma, são as pessoas que realmente têm uma liberdade financeira como nunca visto. Aqui, volto a reforçar, nesta sala, estão vários milionários que trabalham com a criptomoeda. Em segundo lugar, valor. Nós, quando vamos comprar criptomoedas, esta moeda tem que ter valor. Nós temos que saber qual é que é o valor que está associado à moeda. Não vamos comprar só por comprar, não vamos comprar só porque um amigo comprou, só porque alguém disse que comprou. Nós temos que nos educar, como falei antes, nas criptomoedas, mas temos que ter um valor associado para que possamos fazer a compra dessas moedas. E aqui, portanto, neste texto, eu não vou estar a ler o texto todo, senão torna-se muito mais maçudo. Como disse, como vos vou enviar informação, esta apresentação, vocês vão ter a oportunidade de poder ver tudo isto. Se terem perguntas, questões, eu estarei no final disposto a responder tudo o que vocês precisarem. Algo muito importante, como disse muito bem, tanto o Blair como o Pascal, o Bitcoin valorizou, no início do ano passado, o Bitcoin estava a valer cerca de $900 e hoje são $14.000. Quem vendeu o Bitcoin, quem vendeu esta moeda em fevereiro, março ou abril, hoje seguramente está arrependido. Porquê? Porque não agarrou a oportunidade para poder segurar a moeda e vender a moeda quando tivesse um preço mais alto. Há muitas outras moedas. Se nós tivéssemos, vou dar um exemplo, se tivéssemos investido 1.000 euros em Ethereum no ano passado, este ano tínhamos 300.000 euros. Porque a Ethereum estava a $7, a Ethereum estava até $7 e já bateu quase os $1.400 uma moeda. Portanto, existem muitas outras moedas. Existem muitas outras moedas, portanto o Bitcoin é a primeira e todas as outras moedas estão seguindo este ritmo. Há uma oportunidade muito grande. Contudo, é importante termos informação de como comprar, onde comprar, informação válida. E não vender, a meu ver, e não vender logo à primeira oportunidade. Porque a valorização deste mercado, eu acredito nos próximos anos, quem trabalhar a sério, focado de uma forma profissional, vai seguramente mudar a vida, assim como eu já mudei a minha. E para muito bem. Portanto, todos vocês terão esta oportunidade. Se eu conseguir fazer, meus amigos, posso dizer, todos vocês também conseguem fazer. É muito fácil trabalhar focado, é educar, ter informação, saber onde procurar, trabalhar com as pessoas e com as empresas corretas e seguramente vocês vão poder mudar as vossas vidas. Algo também muito importante, tem que haver diversidade. Não vale a pena estarmos a comprar só Bitcoin, ou só Ethereum, ou Ripple. Existem, como disse o Pascal muito bem, hoje em dia existem mais de 1.300 moedas no mercado. Com certeza que muitas delas não têm o valor que nós precisamos, mas muitas delas nós podemos fazer um investimento. Não investir apenas num, mas podemos investir em mais que um. Como se costuma falar o velho provérbio, não colocar os ovos todos numa cesta, aqui também se aplica. Não vale a pena estarmos, se eu tenho mil euros, se eu tenho 10 mil dólares, não vale a pena estar a meu ver, investir tudo apenas numa única moeda. Vamos diversificar. Porque, por acaso, uma dessas moedas conseguir dar um salto, e como nós vemos ali no Ripple, esta moeda, portanto, todos nós, quem fez investimento nessa moeda, seguramente que vai mudar a sua vida. Agora, se investir apenas numa única moeda, todo o dinheiro que tem para investir, nós sabemos que se correr mal, depois não tem mais nada para fazer. Agora, e também muito importante, que é algo muitíssimo importante, é que nós nunca podemos tomar decisões de uma forma emotiva. Quando estamos a comprar, quando estamos a vender, a única coisa que nós queremos é tomar uma decisão precipitada. Como aqui está a dizer, de uma forma muito, muito simples, when your body experience stress, ou seja, quando o vosso corpo, é esta a história, quando o corpo experiencia um stress diferente, nós não conseguimos pensar de uma forma correta. Portanto, não conseguimos pensar 100%. Quando nós estamos nervosos, quando nós estamos ansiosos, quando nós estamos... Vamos não fazer compras de uma forma... E escutar o mercado. Eu, quando digo escutar o mercado, é ouvir as pessoas que sabem, é procurar informação nos locais corretos. E antes de vender a moeda, procurar saber se nós nunca temos a certeza de saber se é a melhor altura. Mas se é uma boa altura para vender a moeda. Com certeza que, ao tomar todo esse espaço, ao fazer tudo desta forma, eu tenho a certeza absoluta que todos vocês vão poder ter uma vida melhor. Antes de mais, deixem-me só perguntar, quem é que aqui na sala tem Bitcoin? Ou já comprou Bitcoin? Parabéns. Parabéns a vocês. Parabéns a vocês porque vocês realmente vão mudar a vossa vida. O Bitcoin, e agora quem comprou outras moedas? Ethereum, Ripple, Dascoin. Quem não comprou Dascoin, meus amigos, comprem Dascoin que eu garanto-vos que vai mudar a vossa vida. Vai mudar a vossa vida assim como já mudou a minha vida e está a mudar a vida de muitas outras pessoas. Não vou tomar mais tempo. Como eu falei, eu tenho toda esta apresentação em português. No final, se quiserem se dirigir a mim ou a alguém da equipa, poderão se dirigir. Amanhã também vamos ter uma outra apresentação. Mas aproveitem, porque durante o dia de hoje e de amanhã é a única vez que vocês vão ouvir falar português. Portanto, a partir de agora é só inglês. Ok? Muito obrigado a todos pela vossa presença. Boa noite. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Ladies and gents, put your hands together. Paolo Martins. Thank you, sir. So how are you finding it so far? A round of applause for all our speakers. Are you learning things? Is it making an impact? Now, I haven't really introduced myself at all because I don't think that there's a slide with my name on it. My name is Dave Crane. I've come from Dubai, and it's my experience to share as much as I can about mindset, about what creates success amongst people. Now, today is a very special day because what I want to do is give to everybody the opportunity to have some free money. Who would like some free money? Nobody. Who would like some free money? I've got for you something which may not seem a lot to some people, it may seem a lot to others. I have here 100 real. Now the question is, and this is very much a question about everything to do with the future. Who wants this money? Who would like to take this home, spend it on whatever they want to spend it on, and start making that difference, maybe even spending it on cryptocurrency? Who truly wants this? There you go, 50 each. Give them a round of applause. 50 each. Now, why was that significant? It's significant because we are now going through a fourth industrial revolution. There's a change happening in every single industry that we've never been prepared for. We have a number of people in this room who are aged between 45 and 60 years old. If that's you, put your hands in the air. Your arms are a little tired, I realize that. If you are a millennial and you are aged between, say, 21 and 35, put your hands in the air. A lot more of them. And if you're either one side of it, you should be in bed, or the higher side, then you're interested to see where you fit in. If I haven't mentioned you at all, put your hands in the air and let me see where you are. Because what we have now is a change in every single company. Once upon a time, you had a boss, you had managers, you had supervisors, and you had workers. The trend that's coming is right across the board. Every single person is going to be invited to work in an organization that is flat. The old ways are being thrown out. Similarly, if you're working in an industry where, as the boss, you've been around for a long time, you've become very good at what you do, you will be replaced by artificial intelligence, robotics, or maybe even by people who are younger than you and cheaper to employ. If you are younger and you're going to be one of these people who moves into one of those positions, we have a generation that has another problem. And it's not holding a job, it's wondering how you are able to make enough money to start your family. In the UK, a survey was done that said for millennials aged 21 to 35, they will probably only become rich when they are 60, and they inherit from their parents the house that they grew up in. Now, this is going to lead to a lot of change. This is going to lead to a lot of fear. I can also tell you, just as a survey, how many people in this room have got a job? Any job? Most people, okay? In the next 20 years, 47% of the jobs that you know will not exist anymore. And also, in 20 years, 63% of the new jobs that are coming haven't been invented yet. This makes for a lot of opportunity. This also means that if you are of a mindset where you believe in adopting change and making a difference early, you can find success before everybody else catches up. Now, those figures might be scary, and to many people, they are. But I can tell you that those figures are very similar to 20 years ago, where the industry changed. and people didn't know what was coming next. One thing you can rely on is your ability to understand the way the world is going. There's a guy who is an ice hockey player, one of the most famous of all time, by the name of Wayne Gretzky. Anybody heard of Wayne Gretzky? Wayne Gretzky scored more goals in ice hockey than any other player. And when he was asked what made him so successful, he said he learned to read a game. He learned to understand what was happening, and he would go to where the puck, which is the ball effectively that we use in ice hockey, is going next. While everybody else was fighting a battle there, he would be going over there. He also said that he had one bit of knowledge that changed his entire career. He knew that 100% of the shots he didn't take would never score. Now, this might get lost in translation, so I'll put it in plain, simple terms. If you don't go out and do something about it, you expect to get 0 from life. Now, for me, it's very simple. I know what I want from my life. I know that the things that I make as decisions, the choices I make right now, are going to be what drives the success that I truly want to have in the future. I know that, for instance, the time I spend on things, I will never get back again. So I value time, and I value people who value my time. I also know that the own success that I have in my life, I can't blame anybody else for any success that I have. I can't blame the government. I can't blame my spiritual beliefs. I can't blame the people around me. I can't blame my upbringing, my parents. I can't even blame the job market. There's only one person who ultimately you can blame for the rest of your life, and that's you. But let's turn that round. The one person you should trust, the one person you should empower, the one person that you should send forward into the future to take you to the highest levels is you. Now, I don't know enough about the people of Brazil, apart from the fact that every single person I've met is proud to be Brazilian. Regardless of the money that you have, regardless of the job prospects, regardless of the way the economy is going, you carry a pride I've never seen anywhere. You understand the power of who you truly are. I'd love you to give yourselves a massive round of applause for that. You've taught me a lot in the 3 days or so that I've been in this country. Now, if you want to really create super success in your life, there's another thing I have to share with you right now. How many people in this room have ever failed in their lives to achieve success in something? Be honest. How many people have ever failed to pass a driving test, get a job interview, maybe keep a relationship going, all those kind of things? Everybody, yeah? Is anybody here who's never failed at anything? I will prove to you that you have never failed, and you will never fail in the future. Would that be useful to you? The reason it should be useful is because when you fail, when you feel like a loser, it takes away your power. Now, let me share with you exactly why that's so important. Because whatever it is you're thinking about as a time when you didn't find success, what happens with success is very simple. You have a change to make. You have an event you have to prepare for. You work really hard or you don't work really hard towards that event. And then the event happens. After the event, it could be a driving test, it could be a job interview, it could be a relationship. You get a result. The result might be good, The result might be bad, but it's just a result. It's not a failure, it's just a result. Now, what most people don't do is ask for feedback. They don't ask to see what they could have done to change it. When you do ask, you can learn how to change the game. So therefore, you have never failed. All that's happened is you did something and you didn't get the result you want. You can go back and do it again, or say, you know what? I'm going to do something different. Does this make sense? So therefore, the question is, have you really ever failed? Because I don't think you have. And if you believe me by saying that you've never actually failed, then that means you're never ever going to fail in the future. So there's no need to be scared about making a difference and taking those steps forward. Because what's the worst thing that could happen? You end up exactly where you were before with more life experience. Now, every speaker that's coming on stage is sharing with you from their heart, genuinely, their life experiences. Our next guest is a man who I admire more than many I've met. And I've worked with Kanye West, I've worked with Wycliffe Jean, James Brown, many big names in industries like entertainment. But this fascinates me. He fascinates me. Before I say anything, I'd like you to look up at the big screens. I'll come back to you in 2 minutes' time.
As a child, I was always looking around at the world and trying to determine what was missing and what was needed, how things could be better. I've always wanted to push boundaries, so I've been drawn to outside of the box type of solutions. And I've always looked to combine elements that maybe aren't normally combined. And so I think it's part of my nature. I very much have been aware of this theme of balance, and I felt naturally inside of us all, I think there's this growing awareness that there's something off. When you see homeless people in the streets, something's wrong about that. Something doesn't feel, right. You see institutions that are serving themselves, not the will of the people. And there is the potential that if we continue to let the process of centralization and these centralized institutions take that power from us, then there's a huge risk of going even further off balance. So this is a moment where our choice needs to be made. We need to put into position a system that supports the will of the collective. The entire mission of what we're doing with DAS is to spread prosperity by creating a system that is perpetually in balance. We've created an ecosystem where all the elements for creating, storing, and exchanging value are in this symbiotic relationship and allows for an immense amount of value to be created and for that value to be distributed in a very equitable manner among the participants of the system. I feel that technology is really what's enabling this paradigm shift, but we can't lose our humanity in the process. And so what we've tried to do with the DAS ecosystem is combine the best elements of what the technology can do with the great elements about us as people and who we are. And that's really what this whole enterprise is about, is experimenting with that combination of technology and people in ways that are in alignment with where we need to go to reach that full potential. I think that we are going to create an amazing new direction for the world to travel. I believe that the ecosystem has been established and is now primed to grow in a myriad of ways. And all of these are reinforcing directions that will bring out the full potential of who we are as a people. And so, yeah, I think the future is extremely bright, and I'm very pleased that we're on this path. Now we just need to have more and more people see what we see and come with us to where we're going.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're as excited as I am as I bring on the founder and CEO of Dascoin. 25 years of financial industry and technology have come together for you right here, right now. He's going to be sharing with us of his vision of a better way that you and I can get involved in the financial revolution. Put your hands together as we bring on Mr. Michael Matthias.
Tudo bem. I have to confess that I love Rio. I have been coming here for about 20 years. First time I came here was about 20 years ago. And you know how when you're going through some stress and you need to be in your happy place? Often I come to Rio when I need that visualization of happiness. And it's yes, there's, and everyone, who's we have a lot of people from the Dascoin family and the Net Leaders family that have come and become introduced to Rio, and they see it's incredibly beautiful, very beautiful, physically a gorgeous place. But Dave alluded to it, and I think everyone can feel it. What grabbed me the first time I came to Rio is the spirit of the people. There's a warmth and a spirit of the people here that is amazing. And Dave gave you a round of applause, but I have to, from a sincere place, I just want to give you a round of applause for many years. I've come here many years, and I really love the spirit of Rio and of Brazil. So thank you for that. I want to share something that I think embodies the Brazilian spirit, and this is a natural place for us to come to really just share what's happening. I feel that a lot of what we've built in this domain is very emblematic of that Brazilian spirit. And it's, I think about the sunny day on the beach and the way people enjoy themselves, and that the equitable distribution of sunshine in this realm, and the way that people share from their heart, from their soul, it's just really something that's special. And I feel that a lot of the world doesn't have that. And I think that there's a very similar to that analogy of sunshine, that there's also, I see it as, and what I've always looked to in this whole realm is the economy, the way the economy works, and the way capital structure has worked within our economy has not been that open sunshine that everyone's enjoying. It's actually been very concentrated, as if the sun is only shining in certain places, or even worse, that there's a form of bondage happening where people can't reach the sunshine. They're not allowed out into the sunshine. And I feel that what's really interesting about this moment in time is that there is something happening with the fintech revolution that will allow us to distribute capital in a way that it's never been distributed before. And we're all used to economies that, and we can understand. And I'll just put this up on for a bit. The idea of so economy. There's decentralized economies and there's centralized economies, and you can think about that in very basic governance models. So in the very centralized, that's a lot of the central planning. I think that communism is a perfect example of that. Well, let's centrally plan everything and see where that gets us. And over the years and through evolution of economies, there seems to be a shift to decentralized systems, and capitalism seems to be a decentralized system that is working a lot in the world. But something that I would argue is not working is that the capital structure has been very concentrated. So there's a lot that's been explored in the top 2 quadrants, and there isn't a lot that's been explored in the bottom. And particularly what's interesting is a decentralized system like capitalism has always had this very centralized capital structure to it. And it's kept the benefits of the whole system locked up and concentrated among a very, very small group of people, percentage-wise. And only now, with technology, is it possible to unlock that structure. And there's the ability to explore. What I really want to know is what happens, what's the world look like in that bottom left quadrant? Because I feel that a decentralized, distributed decision-making governance model that is capitalism, I think it's a beautiful way to go. But what happens when we unlock the capital structure? What possibilities open up when we're down there with fully distributed capital? And we've been living under, for many, many centuries actually, we've been living under central monetary authority. And that's kept the capital very locked up. And it's taken a lot of people and locked them out of the sunshine, of that, there's the Brazilian spirit being enjoyed. Life is being enjoyed by the top level, but there's a kind of I think we, very much like a beach in Brazil, we all, deserve to enjoy the sunshine. And this is not, everybody gets the same amount. We want to recognize the risk-reward relationship. That's why, we're definitely wanting to cultivate a system that rewards people that take responsibility, take risk. But we also really need to, we've got to unlock the possibilities so that people that are locked out can really enjoy in this. And we think that there is a way to do this, and it's happening slowly right now in crypto. Cryptocurrency is happening fast, but there's still it's mimicking a lot of the situation we have in fiat, where there's a concentration. So we still haven't yet unlocked the full distribution, but there are ways of doing this, and that's really one of the things that came to mind in creating DasCoin. So just a review, because you guys have there seems to be a very knowledgeable group of people in this room tonight, and you've gotten some great information. But let's just go over pros and cons a bit of what cryptocurrency is. So it's a form of fast global transfer. It's inexpensive to transfer value through cryptocurrency. It's convenient to store value in terms of, versus like gold, storing it in the form of the digital cloud is very convenient. It can't be confiscated. That's something that a lot of people like about cryptocurrency. And it can't be inflated. There's a limited number of it. And we've been really suffering from the inflation dynamic that occurs in fiat currency. But there's also some drawbacks that need to be addressed. One is the lack of identification information associated. This is that whole, there's a lot of anonymity, and it could be used for bad purposes by bad people. That's something that needs to be addressed. It's difficult still right now to spend. You use it easily. There's a risk in exchange, both in the movement, there's a lot of price movement, and also in the exchanges themselves. There's been some that are not that secure. There hasn't been government regulation. That's coming. But that doesn't exist right now, and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And it's, in the totality of it, it's arguably difficult to understand. That's why education is so important. That's why there's a reaching out from our side of things, and to everyone in this room, to basically help bring about that understanding. So when we decided to create DOSCoin, the idea was that we wanted to address these weaknesses that we saw and wanted to figure out, what's it look like, what does a cryptocurrency look like that goes completely mainstream, that's being used all the time for various different things by a lot of people. So really a mainstream usage, and it's sustainable. It's not this, here today, gone tomorrow. What does it look like in a sustainable cryptocurrency? And so one of the places that we started was, you need authenticated members. You need this, there needs to be a KYC. The banks use that. It's just identifying who's on the network. And we thought it's a very, very important element. And it is not, it's by most of our brethren in the cryptocurrency industry, that's looked upon as not important and potentially undesirable by them. They don't really want to be on the radar screen. But our view was, we wanted to be sustainable, and we wanted to be scalable. We think there's a lot of business to be done, and businesses aren't going to take a cryptocurrency seriously, or aren't going to be able to justify it to their board members operating in a cryptocurrency if it's got unknown people operating on it, if it could be used for to finance terrorism, for money laundering. So we thought, first really important factor, this needs to be authenticated. Authenticated network, very important to us. A consortium blockchain, you learned a bit about what a blockchain is, and there's different ways to operate blockchains. They can be very open systems, and they turn out to be, it seems to be a great idea. It's very decentralized, very open system, and the proof of work, Bitcoin's a perfect example. Proof of work is one example of that type of a blockchain. Turns out it's extremely inefficient. It's very costly, has a big carbon footprint. It's one way to go, and it's a good way to go. It's going, that's Bitcoin is underneath that form of blockchain. But blockchain, as a lot of people in here know, is something that's fairly new, and it's still being understood, and there's a lot of different ways to create it. Now, on the other extreme would be a fully centralized blockchain. It doesn't make a lot of sense, because the whole idea is that there's redundancy and immutability. A centralized blockchain, the operator has the ability to change records and affect that timestamping, fudge the numbers. So that's not too workable. But if you move down that spectrum, the idea of a consortium that is licensed to hold those records and is being held in different companies, and or government bodies that are trusted and know that for the sake of the whole system, the strength of the system, there's not going to be collusion or some sort of changing, counterfeiting of the results of that. So what ends up happening is there's this structure called a consortium blockchain that has not been fully embraced by the industry, is starting to get more understanding, but it's something that we chose as our blockchain because it offered a lot of efficiency, and it offered many of the same great benefits of these open systems without the exorbitant cost and the huge carbon footprint. And so we thought this is something that really, we wanted to build on this concept. We thought that made a lot of sense. Again, we're looking for a sustainable system. What you're going to find out a lot in probably this year, so if the 2017 was the year of cryptocurrency in many ways, I think that that's a statement that is a fact. This coming year, 2018, our current year, I believe should be the year of the ecosystem in this realm of blockchain and cryptocurrency. And it's a signal to anyone that's really digging into this space. Look at the ecosystem. Look at the ecosystem around any of these coins. Paolo gave 5 important factors in when you're looking at a cryptocurrency. Look at the ecosystem. And by the ecosystem, we're talking about what the pieces that are around the coin or the currency itself. There's the wallet that you hold that coin in. There's the exchanges. There's different ancillary businesses that can be run on top of these these cryptocurrencies. And there's a whole realm of smart contracts that are potentially there. And there's many things that can happen in an ecosystem. And they naturally develop. So Bitcoin is a perfect example of, it's very decentralized. So the ecosystem naturally developed. There was no centralization. It just developed in a very disparate way. But it developed. Now, juxtapose that to a highly integrated ecosystem. So we love the principles of decentralization, and there are elements of centralization that work for the needs of this kind of a system. And so we've really looked to preserve as much of the decentralized as possible, but then bring in centralization where needed. And so it's a hybrid type of system, but it's an integrated ecosystem. And there's more than one company behind this whole enterprise that has DasCoin as the center of it, the store of value unit. But there's an entire ecosystem of other companies, all in alliance with each other, all working in an integrated way. And that's creating additional value. And so it's just a flag to think about when looking at any cryptocurrency. What's their ecosystem about? Like, do they have one? What's a part of it? What does it do? It's an important factor. It was something that we see as very different. This idea of not being able to have your funds confiscated, it's a winning idea. No one wants these centralized banks to be able to just go in as they did in Cyprus and did a bail-in and took people's deposits out because they needed it. They needed the money. That's just something that doesn't go down well with anybody. So we've preserved that idea of a decentralized wallet in what we do. And we've also added a further element of, we use a device that manages the encryption keys for that wallet. So we really are taking people by the hand and helping them come into what is normally a do-it-yourself experience. The whole realm of understanding how to do something so decentralized, there's no company that is providing that information. You need to know somebody that knows how to do it, and hopefully they'll show you how to do it. We are systematically helping people to enter into this whole decentralized type of experience, because we think it's very important that you, and only you, are in charge and in control of your cryptographic assets. And that's what our whole system is. There is much more than just a store of value unit to our ecosystem, but it's all the access is built around a device that manages those encryption keys. So it's a very important element. Finally, one advantage that I'd like everyone in here to consider is, when you look at a cryptocurrency, ask yourself, how is it going to grow? How will it grow if ecosystem is very important, how's it going to grow? The real element that's super important in valuing any cryptocurrency is the network. It's the network of nodes, the network of users, and you need to ask the question, how many users are there? What are they doing with this network? How fast is the network? How strong is the network? How secure is the network? Those are all really important questions. But ultimately, one of the most important questions is, how is this network going to grow? How will it add more users? And when we looked at this issue of growth, yeah, Bitcoin has a natural growth mechanism. It was the first cryptocurrency, and so it's kind of ridden that awareness. When all the altcoins that Pascal talked about, when they came on the scene, there needs to be reasons, and there is this frothy market where people are talking about, it's this factor, that factor, but ultimately that becomes a very crowded market, and it's very surface, it's not substantial. And where our minds were going when we were creating this enterprise is, we believe that there's something really valuable in creating an education force, if for lack of a better word, a worldwide group of people that are equipped to educate others about this space. There's a lot to learn about this space. And so this idea that, to do that, you've got to incentivize people. There's a lot of ICOs that say, that seem to be saying, when people buy this token, they're going to go and tell people they bought the token, and they're going to hope that it gets used by people. That was a scenario that we didn't think is going to be sustainable. Again, always about sustainability. And so we thought better to create an incentivized marketing system that offers benefits to people in relation to their impact on the growth. So the more impact they have in bringing people into this realm, the more people that get these ideas and get involved, the more that benefit is shared with the individual that was the conduit for that. And so this kind of a mechanism is really, you will find in doing your research, it's very rare in the whole realm. There's over 1,000 cryptocurrencies, and very few of them have any sort of marketing strategy to them whatsoever, much less a very defined, systematic incentive system for the growth to happen. So, and yet, this type of marketing has been around, and I would argue has been questionably applied to many other types of businesses, many other types of products and services, and yet the most natural application of this system of incentives is in creating a network. And you'll see that over time, this is going to become more and more of a factor. Right now, we're kind of, the odd character at the party. And I believe that with time, with the industry getting clogged up with all this messaging, we're creating a very well-educated group of what we term advocates that understand our system and help other people to understand not just our system. That's not where we want to go. We want to reach out and let people know about this entire industry. That's why something like this is put on, is to outreach about the industry itself. We're not here to hard sell anything about what we're doing. We want to share about the industry, and we'd like you to know about, we want to share about what we're doing and why we're different. And we believe that having this massive educational machine is going to make a real difference in reaching this place where, as I said in the beginning, that I believe we can unlock the capital structure. Right now, there is still, even cryptocurrency is mirroring the fiat system. It's an aspect of the industry that's not very well covered, but there's a very high concentration of wealth, of holdings within cryptocurrency right now. And I think that needs to change. And I think that our system, we have a very unusual distribution system. It's built on a minting model. And I think that type of a system is going to lead to a much more equitable distribution of units. And with that comes all sorts of possibilities. Dave Crane gave you some insight into how much jobs are disappearing and changing. And there's many very smart people. Jaron Lanier comes to mind, a guy who sees this whole digitization stripping out the middle class. He calls these grand, the siren servers. These are Google and Facebook. They offer some free services, but we end up giving up our identity. We give up our privacy. And ultimately, we're letting the entire thing be disintermediated. The entire economy gets disintermediated digitally, and wealth gets further concentrated into the hands of the shareholders of Google and Facebook. I'm just here to just share that this idea that there could be a different way. There could be a better way of distributing the capital that makes our economies move, and that there is a shift happening, and we are in the center of this kind of shift. And so you will get a better overview, a more in-depth overview of what DOSCoin and NetLeaders is all about with the next speakers. But I wanted to just share a bit of insight into what some of the things that make us different. So thank you very much. Obrigado to everybody. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. So Michael Matthias, please give it up. A couple of things I have to say before we bring on our next speakers. First of all, as I'm looking around, maybe it's for sunshine, a couple of people are finding it hard to take everything in. So what I want everyone to do is I want everyone to stand up. Everyone stand up. Stand up. Translate, stand up. All right? I want you to put your hands in the air like this. I want you to put your hands over like this. And that's the very first ever cryptocurrency wave. All right, everyone sit down, give yourselves a round of applause. Now that should have woken you up a little bit in a nice, gentle way. What I want to do is I want to make one very quick announcement, by the way. For everybody who's got headphones and headsets, please make sure that you leave them here, because they do not work anywhere else. So when you do go at the end of the evening, please make sure your headsets are handed back in. They have got trackers. We do know where you live. And I will find you. Right then. So, as we're talking about how things are moving on, is anybody else as excited by the prospect of getting involved in the blockchain and cryptocurrency as me? Give it up if you're feeling excited. But you may also feel that a lot of it is kind of scary because it's so new and you're not sure what to do about it. That's why our next guest speakers will be sharing with you what it's like to be an entrepreneur, starting a business and being involved with what we're talking about. They've come from the USA and they're going to share with you all about how to make a better way for you through NetLeaders. Please put your hands together as we bring on Richie Beaumont and Anna Gatewood.
Eu não falo português como falo, falo um pouco, ok? Minha mãe é de Portugal. So, meu coração é em Portugal e aqui é Brasil. Todos necessitam uma coisa que te amo, que no coração é isso. Para mim, esse é amor aqui.
I don't know what you said, but it sounded really good.
So, meu nome é Ana, e isto é Richie, pero quando nós estamos em Brasil, é Ricardo.
Okay.
Okay, good. And we're going to talk to you a little bit today about what we've been involved in and what we see and how we see this changing things for us. As in the United States, I work as a physician assistant. I practice medicine, and I'm blessed because my mother, who came from Portugal, came from a farm, had no education. My father had no high school education, and they came and they created what they wanted for us kids. They wanted a better life, and that's what they created for us. So that's where we're really, really blessed, and I feel blessed to have had that opportunity and other opportunities. So that's what we're going to look at today. So technology, obviously, so many of us are influenced by technology in every single way, and I think that makes and changes so much. And in the procedures that I do in surgery, so much has changed, but in everyone's technology and what we do, every day it's changing. Of course, and this is what Pascal talked about as well, you know, where the internet has taken things is really incredible. From a navigation system to Google Maps to, you know, what did we do? How did we even function before that? You know, oftentimes we don't even know what to do, and what do we say? We Google it. Tinder, let's talk about that for a second. So dating was one thing, and now it's something very different. But it's really changed things, as well as shopping. Shopping, I may do a little bit of that. But shopping and eBay has changed a lot for a lot of people as well. So what's next? And in the world of how we pay, I think that's a really important thing. So many of you in the audience here, do you have cash, actual reals, in your pockets? Yes? Raise a hand if you have reals. Yeah. So some people still do. Many, many people are getting away from that. And they're just carrying their phones because they're now able to pay with their phone. So what's going to happen? What's going to be the next phase of that? The next phase of that is, truth be told, cryptocurrency is looking and is possibly going to completely eradicate fiat currency, which is amazing. This is happening fast, and we saw this slide before, and I think that it just speaks to the nature of cryptocurrency and how quickly it's all coming together. So this is a great shot. If anybody wants to take a picture of this, I think that we've all seen this and know that The growth has been tremendous. Obviously, we're all in this room because we believe in this industry or we're inquisitive about the industry, so that's really what we're looking to see.
I look at this on a daily basis, actually, all these different cryptocurrencies. I mean, look at CoinMarketCap today. You can just go and log in and see how these coins have probably changed from what it's currently up there right now.
So this is probably one of the best stories out there, and many, many people know this story. Back in 2009, a gentleman bought $27 worth of Bitcoin, and he forgot about it. Some of us forget about things, and that happens periodically. He forgot about it, and he forgot about it until 2013. And in 2013, that $27 was valued at $886,000. So that's pretty incredible. And today, that same $27 Bitcoin is now is this amazing? $75 million. So just absolutely incredible growth. So that's what's exciting, and I think that's what's inspired so many of us to look at this and consider this. So I think that many of us would take financial, business, any kind of advice from these two men, Richard Branson and Bill Gates. Obviously two of the most incredible businessmen that many of us have ever seen. And they are also two huge believers in cryptocurrency. So I think to have their validation, to have their influence and power upon this is also really, really incredible. In the same breath, they've also said that although Bitcoin is fantastic, and I think most of us agree, and they've invested a lot in Bitcoin, they also think that something may be needed, something extra might be necessary, that Bitcoin may have some hiccups that it could possibly improve upon. And we see that in industries, and we see that in a lot of industries overall. And many of us think about it that way. There was that pioneer that started a movement, such as Yahoo. But there was an innovator who took all the little hiccups out of Yahoo and made it better, which was Google. Same thing with MySpace. Many people started that way, but Facebook completely took over that industry. And then Nokia and Apple. So I think that these are tremendous examples of where you have that pioneer, which obviously Bitcoin has laid the path, but then you have an innovator that comes in and improves upon all of those other avenues. So a little bit of why this is absolutely that different place, that different thing, is the currency of trust. This is Dascoin. It's really what we'd like to introduce you to, and what so many people you've already heard from today have really put their value, their heart, their soul. This is what's changed for them and why it's different. So I think that this is the type of thing, this trust, all of these avenues that we're looking to improve upon, this is what's included here. And I'm going to turn this over to Richie and let him tell you a little bit.
Great job, Anna. So, this is really where it started for Anna and I, is with trust. It was 5 months ago, 6 months ago. I was actually sitting in the audience, not here, but in Poland. And my good friend, Donia, over here. Donia, can you put your hand up in the air? It was Donia that she decided she wanted to do something for us. And that something was to give us our dream. Now, a lot of you don't know me and who I am, but ultimately, I grew up as a mechanic's son. I grew up in the bays of a garage fixing cars. My father's a professional drag racer, so I've been around cars all my life. You want to sit up here and talk about cars? I can talk cars all day. We can go on and on and on. But when it came to cryptocurrency, I had no idea what it was. But Donia, she made the call, and she knew something else about me. She knew that my passion was really... Here's another thing you don't know, is I'm a winemaker. And ultimately, my ultimate dream is to own a vineyard. So I want to grow grapes, make wine, and build memories for people. Well, how am I going to do that? I see this Dascoin as the vehicle to get me to what I want. So think about that. You have something that can create wealth for you. You don't have to go to the bank and borrow money and pay notes and all that kind of crazy stuff. You have a way to generate wealth and then live out your dreams. So Donia, from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sure from Anna's, we really want to thank you. We've never publicly done that, so I thank you very much for making that phone call. But it's really changed our lives because, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. unfortunately, I've been living out too many other people's dreams. Right, Fraser? Like, who wants to live out other people's dreams? Don't you want to fulfill yourself and do your own thing? Well, that's where I am, and that's how I want to provide to my family. So, let's get into the rest of the presentation here. So Michael has already talked to you today about his vision and what he wants to do in the world of providing prosperity to millions of people. Now, with every legendary company, legacy company, and typically a legacy company runs 50 to 100 years, it starts with great leadership. And again, you've already heard from Michael and what he thinks about the economy and all the things that he wants to do for other people. So we're starting out with a great CEO and a leader. The next is our board of directors. Now, I believe they're here. They were sitting over here. Gentlemen, can you three raise your hand right here? I think it's important to recognize these gentlemen because, I mean, look at what they've accomplished in their professional careers. I don't think Anya's here, unfortunately, but it's not only men, it's women. So top businesswomen, top businessmen are joining forces with us because they believe in this system, this ecosystem that I'm about to show you and how it works. So there's something much larger, and Michael definitely talked a lot about this, so I'm going to breeze through this really quick for you. But it's the ecosystem. So Das Coin has all these different entities around it. And these are the gentlemen that make up the different entities, so you can understand that. You have Michael, the CEO of Das Coin. Well, what are you going to do with those coins? You're going to need a place to store them. So we have George with our web wallet. We also have John. John is our networking and marketing director who helps get the brand out. And then we have Terry. And Terry keeps the relationships, I think this is huge, with the financial institutions and banks. Because that's what's going to make us mainstream. That's what's going to make us different from all of the other coin companies that are out there. So here's what it looks like. You put the world's most integrated cryptocurrency ecosystem together. All these different little entities. And you'll have access to all of this. And I'll show you how you can do that in a moment. Blockchain's been mentioned a bunch of times. This is a great slide. You know, Michael was telling me back in 2014 this started for him, is he was traveling all over the world and he was speaking to the top cryptocurrency experts. Hence, this is what was created off of all of those conversations. So check out our speed alone. Like, who has Bitcoin? Who has Bitcoin in here? Anybody? How long does it take for a transaction? How long does it take to happen? More than 10 minutes. You know, like, how do you compete? How are they going to compete with us in 6 seconds? They're not. We're going to change the industry. Look at the scalability. The scalability is transactions per second. Go right down the list. Bitcoin, 3 transactions per second. Visas can't even compete with us. Like, they're average 2,000 up to 56,000 transactions per second. We're up over 100,000 transactions per second. How awesome is that? And then, of course, there's the security, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, but this is really important. This is one of the things we're really going to hang our hat on. You know, the KYC, know your customer. A lot of bank organizations use this, you know, when you open up accounts in banks and things like that. And then here's another piece of it. In my eyes, and I think a lot of people that are here in Das Coin, they know that this is going to be the game changer right here. This is going to change how cryptocurrency is put out to the world. Like right now, if you own a cryptocurrency, what do you use it for? Anybody? Can you go to a merchant and buy something? Can you trade it for services? It's difficult. The Das Pay system is going to change that. Basically going to be just like a debit card that you hold or a credit card that you hold in your wallet. Be able to go and use that card at over 60 million different merchants throughout the world. So I'm really excited about that. That's really cool. And I know you're going to love that. You're going to be buying some of our shoes, right? So from here, we go on to the KYC, or the Authenticated Network. What's different is we're setting this up before the regulators put out their verbiage that they want for this. You know, we're setting it up so that legislation says, wow, this company's got it all together before we even ask for it. So again, what company has this set up already? I don't know of any, and that's why this looks so appealing to me. So now we got our web wallet. We were talking about this a little earlier. What are you going to do with your coins? Where are you going to store them? Anybody have a web wallet right now? I know I set up my first one, and man, it was crazy. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, this goes here, what goes there, copy and paste this. I was out of my mind. I wasn't even sure if I did it right. But what I found is that this is such an easy platform, and it's such a simple interface. And the cool thing is the security of the validator. The validator basically just stores your passwords offline, so that keeps your currency in your hands and under your control. Because you never know, if you go onto some online wallet, you just never know. You never know who owns it. So this keeps it at your power. This is our DAS exchange, which is pretty cool. Right now we're creating liquidity. Right now, the holders of DASCoin are trading internally. So we're creating liquidity before one of the big announcements comes that I'll show you in just a moment. And then we have the blockchain services. So this is kind of cool. And we're talking about how blockchain is really the big thing here. It's not necessarily the coin. The blockchain technology is going to be the adapter that's going to change a lot of stuff. And a smart contract for 2018, this is going to be the big one. Basically, a smart contract is an agreement between two people without third party that needs to negotiate that contract. So it's self-executing. That's really, really cool. So, we're here to NetLeaders right now. NetLeaders is another entity of the DAS ecosystem. And within NetLeaders, basically what it does is it gives you the opportunity to empower not only yourself, but each other. And that's something I'm pretty passionate about. When I met Anna the first time, she was, this physician assistant PA, and she'd tell me all these stories about how she helps people all the time. Well, back then, I was still turning wrenches in a garage, covered up the grease on a daily basis. And I was like, wow, you really get a chance to help people. And I was so envious of that because I've never really had that opportunity. I've never had the opportunity to help people make themselves better, in Anna's case. Or now, in my case, is to possibly and potentially change their life. And that's something that both Anna and I are really, really passionate about. So this is what it does. Welcome to the community of empowerment. That's the NetLeaders side of this. Each member of our community is given the opportunity to empower others into joining the network and be rewarded for doing so. So that sounds cool to me. I like getting rewarded for doing stuff like that. There's a license for everyone. I tell everyone that I meet, look, get in where you fit in. Maybe it's a 100-euro license, maybe it's a 25,000-euro license. That's up to you. It's entirely up to you. What does a license do for you? It's your gateway into the community. So there's three things that it does. There's authentication, access, and capacity. Your authentication is your security. Remember we talked about the KYC. The access puts you into that whole ecosystem, gives you access into that. And then the capacity. These are your cycles. You see up in the left-hand corner of that president license, it's like 3,000 something or something. I can't read it from here because I'm blind. Sorry to the translators who can't keep up with me. I think I've had like 10 Red Bulls before we came here, so I'm talking a little fast. But here's the cycles. The cycles are the lifeblood of the ecosystem. There's three things they can do. They can be redeemed, they can be exchanged, or they can be submitted. Does it make sense to everybody? You redeem them for blockchain resources. You can exchange them for different services. Or you could submit them to the queue and have all of your DAS coins minted for you. And then they go into your wallet. Now this is just a hypothetical, guys. This is just a what if. And we've seen what cryptocurrency has done. We've seen the values go up and down and all over the place. But this is just an example. If you had a 5,000 euro license and it was all turned in and it was submitted to be minted for all DAS coin. If that was the case, if it was €1 per coin, you'd have 20,140 euro. And so on down the line. Like, who wouldn't want to get involved in something like that that's going to be mainstream? So what's coming next? We had the launch of our blockchain March 31st. We had the launch of the DAS Exchange in Tokyo in September. And second quarter of 2018, these two are coming. Public Exchange and the launch of the DAS Pay, which I think is really going to change the way cryptocurrency is used in the world. So I think it's up to you at this point. You've heard an awful lot from everybody who's spoke today, and you know, it's up to you at this point to make a decision. You know, maybe you're like me. I'm really impulsive. Donya said, hey, Richie, I got something you need to look at. I signed up and didn't even need to see it. Why? It's because I trust that woman. I believe in what she does. Now, if she spoke to Anna, she might have got a different answer out of her.
I'm a little conservative, so.
She's definitely the conservative one out of the family here. But together, that makes a great team, and that's how we build the Net Leaders platform. So, everybody, I'd like to thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause, and I hope you all have a great night.
Thank you, Richie and Anna. Brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it brings us to that time where you're probably buzzing with lots of ideas and possibilities.